The car behind me is my Chili Bowl midget, the one that I won the Chili Bowl with. And what's interesting about that is it's actually the car that iRacing scanned that's going to be available to all the iRacing members out there.
Hello everyone and welcome to Monday night's V8 Supercars Strength of Field. Tonight, we're at one of the quickest circuits on the entire calendar. It's Phillip Island, it's high speed, and it is going to punish drivers to the limit, and also the tyres as well. I'm Bo Albert, and alongside me tonight is Jay Kennedy. And Jay, what a championship fight we have going on into the penultimate round.
Yeah, hello Bo, hello everyone. It's going to be very, very exciting. We said at the end of last week when Dane Warren had a very good finish and a disappointing end to the night for Marlon McMullen that we were going to be in with a very, very close championship fight, and I don't think we realised how close this championship was until after that race completed. There's only 21 points separating the top two, with 3 drivers still in contention for this championship between Marlon McMullen, Dane Warren and Thomas Hinds. Actually, Riley Blythe as well, still a mathematical chance of winning this championship as well. So 4 drivers with a shot with the way that the drop rounds actually play out, that are in with a realistic shot of winning this championship.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic one, and I'm sure it'll go all the way down to the wire at Road America next week. And we saw in the real world V8 Supercars just how tight championship battles can be and how quickly things can turn on its head. But right now, Dane Warren is doing everything right apart from his second qualifying lap, but that doesn't matter too much as he's currently on provisional pole by 3/10 ahead of the guy he has to beat. He has to close in 21 points on Marlon McMullen, who's doing his second qualifying lap now. And this should be a fantastic fight if these guys share the front row.
Yeah, fairly short race as well for the drivers tonight. We've seen in the past races at Phillip Island have tended to be mini enduros. Tonight we've got an out-and-out sprint, so it's going to be very interesting to see how the drivers will tackle that, because it is a very different beast from what the guys are used to here at Phillip Island.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is a very fast track, and there's not too many overtaking opportunities apart from maybe turn 3 if you're feeling optimistic on the brakes. And occasionally you can do something pretty incredible into turn number 1, but it is going to be our 2 championship leaders as it currently stands on the front row of the grid, as we're still waiting for some guys to finish their qualifying laps. And this is a hard circuit to get your qualifying lap absolutely right, because there's so many fast corners and there's such a tight limit when it comes to getting the apex and missing the apex, or even just carrying a little bit too much speed.
Yeah, it's a track that has so many different ways of tackling it too. There's so many different types of corners. It's so fast, and then the 2 really slow sections of the circuit are so different from everywhere else in the track. You really have to compromise the way you set up the car to ensure you've got something good for the fast parts and these very, very slow sections as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One person that has got a pretty good balance is Jason Bentz, sitting in 3rd after his final qualifying laps, and that's a fantastic result for him. Currently the 15th highest iRating driver, but currently 1st on the second row of the grid. That is a massively good performance from him. And also Brian Bork, who has been on a run of form of late, is in 5th as well. So those guys doing some very good laps as well, and they could potentially play spoiler in this championship fight as well. And got a lot of the regulars in this series as well, just rounding out some of their final laps. And we'll see how those guys do in fact get on. But so far the times are pretty close as well, with 2nd place all the way down to 18th being separated by a second.
In the top 20, just over 1.5 seconds. So very, very close field tonight, as we're just watching Emily Jones come to complete her 2nd lap. Currently very, very tight in that gaggle of cars. She is in 7th to 11th, 0.06 of a second. So that fringe of the top 10 is going to be very, very tight and close fight in this race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Emily there just completed her 2nd lap a little bit slower, but if that was her fastest time of the session, she would be starting down in 13th. So that just shows you how close this field is, because that was only marginally slower than her fastest lap of the session so far. So incredibly tight laps at the moment on the track, and if that's anything to show what the race has in store for us, I think we're in for a good one.
And it looks like all the drivers that are going to complete their 2 laps have done. Greg Sharp still on his 2nd lap, but he won't make it back to the start line before the clock hits 0. So we might take this opportunity now to run through the starting grid with Dane Warren starting this one from pole, the only driver in the 1 minute 30s. And then we go to Marlon McMullen in 2nd. As you said, Jason Bentz doing a great job in 3rd. Kazuki Mishima, who's continuing to impress in this series, Currently, we'll start this race in 4th. Brian Borg in 5th. Michael Hammond in 6th. So 3 laser racing cars inside the top 6. So great job from those guys. In 7th, we've got Cooper Webster, then Emily Jones, Kurt Stenberg, and Steve Jansen rounding out the top 10.
Greg Sharp will lead off the 6th row of the grid with Michael Taliantic alongside him. Daniel Williams, Brian Bayman, and Craig Jones round out the top 15, with Brett Loxton, Jamie McKnight, Thomas Hins, Zach Baker, and David Miller completing the top 20, with Cameron Dance only a 10th off the row ahead of him, unfortunately. But for our commentator, it wasn't the best session for him. So we've seen him in many races so far this season move his way forward through the race. So look for Cameron Dance to be pulling a lot of moves, and Brendan Jackson rounding out this 22-car field. And Jay, the run to turn 1 is going to be interesting.
It's going to be hectic. We know from races past at this track that we're going to see 3 wide and even 4 wide at the approach into turn 1. So prepare for mayhem, prepare for chaos. We've got half an hour of racing, only 88 k's in length tonight. A very, very short race at this track. It is going to be on.
It certainly is. And, well, if it comes down to a championship fight between Dane Warren and Marlon Mullen, this could be a very crucial round. 21 points in it at the moment. Both drivers on the front row of the grid, and 21 points in this championship is not much at all. That can sometimes be the case of a single position. So this is going to be interesting to see how those two play out against each other, because they have it all to lose against one another.
Yeah, Dane has to win this race to keep this championship fight up. If he doesn't finish ahead of McMullen, then Mullen will have one hand on this championship. Fairly strong strength of field again tonight, so there'll be some very, very good points up for grabs. And if Warren can pick up the win, even if Mullen does finish in second behind, it is going to be really close coming into next week.
It certainly is. Some of our final drivers now making their way onto the grid, and we're getting ever closer to those ever important lights coming on and signaling these 22 V8 supercars to get underway here at Phillip Island. The revs are rising, the lights are on, the nerves are going even higher than before, but the green flag drops, and it's a fantastic start from Dane Warren. Absolutely launches away from the field.
Yeah, very good jump, and McMullen saw Bentz had a great jump as well, and he's already covered defending into turn 1. Front 4 have broken away, but behind that, big pack of cars. We've got one car running wide. Taliantic. Yep.
So Taliantic manages to
and around goes Baker.
Oh no! So Zach Baker, all kinds of trouble. So the 512 car is going to have to make a comeback from the rear of the grid. But as it stands, the rest of the V8 supercars have got away cleanly, and already Warren and McMullen making a bit of a breakaway. But Jason Bent's so strong on the brakes into turn number 3, closes in a bit. And for the most part, all single file apart from Kurt Stenberg, who is having to fend off Greg Sharp at the moment. So Stenberg not having the best starts and beginning to fall backwards side by side through Siberia. And it's all going to be about the exit, and actually Sharp is going to be hung out to dry here, and he's now going to be under attack from the car behind.
Yes, so Steve Jansen possibly will be able to, no, not quite able to go side by side through Hayshed up to Lukey Heights. Possibly
very
see,
close.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jansen takes a bit of a move around, and we're going to see side by side back behind Bateman Jones. Oh, Jansen's around.
And he's in the middle of the track. Hopefully all drivers get around, and they do, but somehow no one has hit Steve Jansen, so he is very lucky, but that has spread the field just a little bit in the mid-pack. Greg Sharp has now got a huge lead, but for Steve Jansen, so lucky to still be in this race.
Yeah, we knew that we were going to see some action in this first lap. It's actually been a little bit cleaner than I was expecting, even with this, with 2 cars going off. Cup Price Racing replay on screen, and actually started that one all by himself. Got helped around in the end by Daniel Williams, who had nowhere to go other than into the rear of Steve Jansen. We go back to the turn 1 issue for Zach Baker as well. We'll see if we can pick up exactly what happened to him. And just locked it up almost too deep into the rear of another car and decided to lock it up and send it around as we go back live. Front 4 have broken away very, very quickly. It's a pretty big gap back to Brian Borg from Kazuki Mishima, but Borg under attack from his teammate in Michael Hammond up the inside, and just behind Cooper Webster, Emily Jones side by side.
Yeah, and Emily got very sideways there, and I think there might have even been a little bit of a touch there. So these guys back here are playing for keeps, And they're already fighting it out very hard. It is a sprint race, like you said. It's a very short race compared to what we're used to here at Phillip Island. So there's not as much strategy to come into play here today. It's all about being the fastest car on track. And right now we've got a lot of movers and shakers in this field. So a lot of guys making the opportunities count when they are appearing.
You saw Michael Taliancic get past Craig Jones. So Taliancic making his way back after the issues at turn 1. But at the front, Dane Warren's pulled a second. Has broken away from McMullen. McMullen might be out of the draft and will not be able to stay with Warren at this rate.
Yeah, that's an issue for McMullen because in qualifying, Jason Bentz, who's running third at the moment, just behind, he was only a 10th slower. And, you know, Jason Bentz is a fantastic driver, but he's not often fighting for podiums like he is. So the second he gets an opportunity to take second place in this race, he's absolutely going to go for it. He doesn't care if McMullen's going for a championship. He wants every position he can possibly get. So for Jason Bentz, right now, he is the worst nightmare possible for McMullen.
Bentz doesn't mind battling hard too, which is a great attitude to have, but one that won't be helping McMullen. McMullen will be a little bit wary about the fact that it is Bentz because he knows that Bentz will not make it easy. He won't give it up. He'll be fighting to get into that second place. And have a look at how close he is now.
Yeah, Jason Bentz is really closing. McMullen falling so quickly away from Warren and falling into the clutches of Bentz. And also, we can't forget who's just behind Bentz as well. It's the samurai himself, Kazuki Umeshima. And look at Bentz, he's just closing in so rapidly. Actually, McMullen locking a break there, so McMullen not comfortable around here at the moment.
It doesn't look like he's got the setup dialed in as nicely as he would have liked, and the gap first to second now to 1.5 seconds. So this lap, Warren has pulled another half a second on McMullen, and Benson Umeshima here, well and truly in draft range. Umeshima might nearly be able to make a move here.
Yeah, he's well in the slipstream and looking very threatening behind the back of Jason Bentz. And yeah, I did too. I thought he was going to go for a bit of a move at turn 1, but plays it safe. Still plenty of laps left on the clock for this, but like you said before as well, no one is catching Dane Warren right now. He just set the fastest lap of the race last time around as Bentz and Umeshima get all kinds of sideways, so that just gives McMullen a little bit of breathing room. Those guys struggling for traction at the exit of turn number 2. Those guys will carry it single file into turn number 3, but Bentz can't play it too safe with Umeshima behind at all. But Dane Warren, last lap around, absolutely flying, and you know, that is exactly what he needs. He's in clean air. McMullen with a huge gaggle of cars behind and very feisty drivers in that as well. So right now, Dane Warren, this is looking perfect heading towards Road America.
It's exactly what he needed to do for this championship fight. Needed to make sure that he could get a win and let the rest of it sort itself out. But he's doing everything he needs to do. McMullen, though, second place is going to be good for him with championship points as well. Of course, drop rounds coming into effect now. The second place here could negate, especially a bad result like last week. So, second position with a pretty good strength of field is still a good chunk of points. So, McMullen won't be too disappointed in being second, but he will not want to lose a spot to Bentz because that will be when the points will start to hurt.
Yeah, this strength of field is sort of a double-edged knife for McMullen right now. Being in second is fantastic, and that is a big haul of points. But if he drops behind Benson Umeshima, that is big points. Warren into the grass. He has somehow kept it on the track, but I saw that in the corner of my eye there, just running ever so slightly wide. Somehow hasn't actually lost too much time, but that was a hard-stopping moment for Dane Warren, and very quickly could have been his race over.
Cut Price Racing replay on screen, and just ran a little bit wide the exit of turn 1. Shane Van Gisbergen style through turn 1 and into turn 2, but somehow, as you said, managed to not lose too much time. He's still got that 2-second gap. Don't know how he did that.
Of course, Dane Warren must be practicing for rallycross a little bit if he's already managing to carry that kind of pace off-road, but still doing a fantastic job. McMullen still not breaking away from Benz and Umeshima. Those guys are holding very strong behind, but there's also a battle slowly beginning to brew behind for 5th place. Michael Hammond currently in that spot, but look at the train of cars. No one's really nose to tail at the moment, but they're not spreading out that much either. There's about half a second between all of these cars, and this gaggle of cars goes all the way back.
It goes all the way back to 12th position, which is Michael Taliancic. So Hammond, Borg, Jones, Webster, Stenberg, Sharp, Williams and Taliancic, the 8 drivers in this battle pack. It's a very big pack of cars brewing into something which will be very interesting to watch by the end of this race.
Yeah, it certainly will. Of course, these guys, we don't know what kind of strategies they're doing and also what kind of things they're trying to do, as Craig Jones is now going to go side by side into turn 1 with Thomas Hinz. So we'll see how the two Ford Falcons go. Neither of them back out. They're going to carry it side by side the entire way through. Very close between the two, door handle to door handle, and it's going to be advantage Thomas Hinz up the inside into turn 2. But Craig Jones still sticking in there, but he has to be careful because Brennan Jackson's got his nose in there as well.
And Jackson's going to have a little bit of overlap here through Stoner. No, just chops the nose off does Jones. So good bit of driving, and Jones will send it up the inside. Hinz defending. Oh. Ambitious. They've all managed to get through. Good bit of driving from all these drivers.
Yeah, very close, and Hinz was so committed through Stoner curve and was right out sideways, as Mr. Scafey would say, but managed to hold it, and he does get that position on Craig Jones. So Thomas Hinz, one of those drivers making his way through the field, so that's great to see. But we just go back to that battle at the moment for P number 3, as McMullen, for probably the 4th or 5th lap in consecutive order now, locks up into that hairpin, and still not looking comfortable in that Commodore. He has a little bit of breathing room now over Benz and Umashima, who have closed up dramatically as well.
Yeah, Umashima looks like he might have enough pace to get a move done on Benz in the next couple of laps, and Benz will try and defend as long as he can. This a very, very good position for Benz to be in at the moment. We're already a third of the way through this race too. It is absolutely flying by. We said it was going to fly by. I didn't think it was going to be this quick.
No, not at all, but there's already been a fair bit of action and very tense moments so far with the championship all to play for at the moment. We are going to keep our eyes slowly on this battle between Dane Warren and McMullen, but right now Warren, just doing a fantastic job out front, continuing to stretch that gap ever so slightly, and McMullen still has the Bunsen burner on the back of his car as he actually locks the rears a little bit into that hairpin. So that's Honda corner, so McMullen's still struggling on the brakes more than anything, but we also have to go back to that battle for P number 5 because this is closing up very quickly.
It's well and truly on now. Borg's right on the tail of Hammond, and Jones is with them. I was just seeing as well, side by side with Jamie McKnight and Braden Bateman. Bateman up the inside, and he's going to get the move done on his teammate. Or is he? Because McKnight's going to come back and chops the nose off. Coming into Hayshed, he'll get the move back. The position back, I should say.
Very brave stuff from McKnight, and that's not the place you want to be cutting the nose off of another car. So high speed through Hayshed corner, but McKnight will never back down for a battle, and he manages to get that spot. And the other one that won't back down for a battle is Thomas Hinz. Dives up the inside, hits the 21 car of Brain Bateman, and more contact! The 20 car goes around, 4 cars in the air. This battle's gone off.
Yeah, Craig Jones out of this one. Massive damage to his car.
Oh, this could be an awkward rejoin. Oh, they all just about managed to keep it on. But Brendan Jackson there actually did redress that position, so he knew he was at fault for one of those collisions. But one of the bigger losers there was Thomas Hinz. He has dumped a bunch of spots.
We'll get another look at that, but yeah, Hinz made contact with Jackson through the middle of MG. They sorted themselves out okay, and then all of a sudden there was contact between Jackson and Jones. Jones has ended up facing the wrong direction.
Hammond and Borg are still involved in their fight, nose to tail. And so is that battle we're just watching, as those guys are all going into Honda corner now with Brett Loxton, Brennan Jackson, and also Steve Jansen and Thomas Hinz going side by side. There's battles happening all over the track right now, out of nowhere. This race has just sprung alive, side by side through Siberia. Hinz can't quite hold the overlap. Or can he? Not quite. So those guys, Hinz is still trying to keep the overlap, and he's actually going to get it. So just about side by side through Hayshed, but he does have to back out of it. But battle is happening all over the track right now.
It's awesome to see how close and how hard these guys are fighting. So this is 6 car battle for 16th through to 21st. Sorry, 20th. 21st. 15th to 21st.
Yep, and there's still guys battling. David Miller and Zach Baker, who of course got that incident on lap 1, turn number 2, and they're going to go side by side through the final corner, and Miller picking up a bit of inside curb, which runs him out a bit wide, Zach Baker somehow holds it on the outside, and it's going to be Holden versus Ford, pure horsepower down the front straight. Who's going to win this battle? Who's going to back out? Who's going to be playing chicken? It's going to be Zach Baker, who does go through into that position 19, so advantage for Baker, and that's another position gained for him, so that's good to see. But what a battle pack this is turning out to be.
Just going to alert your attention to something a little bit further up the road. Hammond, Borg, Jones, well and truly on now for 5th, 6th, 7th, and even 8th, because Cooper Webster's in there too. Great battle going on here.
Yeah, it is. These guys are very close now. It has closed up a lot more than what we saw before. We said that they were all about a second apart from one another, and this could brew into something. Well, it brewed into something pretty darn quickly, because right now Brian Borg is attacking the back of Michael Hammond, but he can't afford to do anything too silly, because Emily Jones and Cooper Webster, like you said, right on the gearbox of both of them too.
Awesome to see all these cars so close and bumping shoulders, elbows out. What we like to see when we're watching the V8 Supercar races. And every single driver in this one is leaving it all out there at the moment. The gap at the front out to 3.4 seconds. McMullen, Bentz, Umashima have closed up again.
Yeah, they have. So we'll see if Umashima can do anything. But look at the gap also to McMullen. So these guys are so close to one another now. And this is very vital for that number 1 car of Marlon McMullen. He cannot let either of these guys go, because with the high strength of field we do have here today of 3.4k, which is a very large soft for this series, any position lost for McMullen, and that has big championship implications, as look at Umashima diving up the inside, thought about it, and also Benz, he's going to give a little bit of a bump to the back of McMullen, just saying, hi, would you like to swap some paint? McMullen, of course, answering no, I'm fighting for a championship, but Benz isn't going to take no for an answer.
Just seeing Taliancic up the inside of Daniel Williams for 11th position. We go back to Hammond and Borg. A little bit of an overlap now. The run to Hayshed. Borg slips back into line. And Emily Jones looks really racy at the moment.
Yeah, she's doing a fantastic job. Just quickly down a Honda corner, Thomas Hins locked his brakes up and went for a little bit of an excursion in the grass. So that's unfortunate for him, but back to this battle we're currently watching at track at the moment. Brian Borg there taking a very defensive line into that hairpin there, so he knows Emily Jones has pace right now, and she certainly does, as she haunts the back of the Laser Racing Ford Falcon through this final corner, running a little bit wide. She probably wouldn't have wanted that, but still gets pretty good traction despite being a bit of a lawnmower on the exit of that curb. Not going to be able to do anything into turn number 1, I don't think, even though the slipstream is very powerful. They are heading into a headwind down into turn number 1. But look at Jones, absolute millimeters away from the back of the Laser Racing car. Almost thinks about it into turn number 2. Has to back out of it, but you can bet your dollar she's going to go for it into turn number 3.
Just move up. Someone that is going to go for it here. Into Honda, Umashima. Big dive. Will he be able to pull it up? He's going to. And move done. Kazuki Umashima moves into 3rd. Still a little bit of an overlap from Bentz though. And Bentz tucks back in behind. So good move from Kazuki Umashima. Now up into 3rd spot.
And that is bad news for McMullen, because we did say earlier in the race, Umashima looked to have a little bit more pace than Bentz in the race. And unfortunately for McMullen, Umashima has had his shackles released and he can go all out and attack now.
It'll be good to see the lap times from Umashima in comparison to McMullen. Dane Warren's doing absolutely everything right at the moment, as we are over halfway through this race now. The lead drivers are completing lap number 10. This battle on screen though is for 5th position. Hammond, Borg, Jones and Webster. Very, very close.
Yeah, and Borg's car looks so good in this high-speed section. He's just gaining 10th after 10th on Hammond through those final 2 corners, and actually pulling away from Jones in the TTR Rising Stars car as well. So that Laser Racing car working very well in the high-speed stuff, but perhaps not quite enough into the slower speed corners, which are the overtaking opportunities around Phillip Island Circuit. So that's the one thing Michael Hammond does have going for him at the moment, as Brian Borg pinches a brake there. Emily Jones almost into the back of him. Both of those drivers locking it up, and very lucky to get away without a car spinning around.
And Cooper Webster almost ran into the back of Jones then too, so almost saw 3 cars all come together. We'll see if anyone decides to look at making a move, a dive up the inside. Everyone stays single file, a little bit of a pinch brake, a pinch wheel from Borg. But Borg's got a much better exit than Hammond, and Hammond has to defend through Siberia.
Yeah, he does, and this is going to be a great run if Brian Borg can manage to get a good run on Hammond and see if he can potentially do something into the hairpin. We said before that our Borg has a lot of pace in these high-speed sections, so we'll see if he can hook it around Lukey Heights, tuck it as close to the apex as he can, just waiting to get on the throttle over the crest. Not going to be able to do it. Has to go a little bit defensive with Jones just behind as well, who's looking for a position as well, but this battle pack right now is so close. And another person that's really close right now, Umashima, closing that gap to McMullen pretty quickly.
Yep, got it down to 0.3 of a second. Umashima, same lap time, actually quicker lap that time than Dane Warren was Kazuki Umashima. So Umashima's got some very good pace. Be interesting if he can get past McMullen, whether he can use that pace and maybe even fight for the lead.
Play a bit of a guessing game quickly. What do you think McMullen's heart rate is right now as Umashima? His heart rate would be through the roof as he goes all kinds of sideways on the exit of turn 2.
They'll both be at absolute maximum heart rate at the moment, because Umashima will be wanting to fight for as high a position as possible, and McMullen is thinking championship. He needs to get this second position. He can't afford to lose any more spots, because that will compromise any chance at this title. He's already in the box seat, but he can't let Warren get too many extra points over him in any of these races. And if he loses another spot, that'll be a big chunk of point difference.
It will. So for McMullen, this is maximum defense, and you can see he's just beginning to feel the pressure a little bit. Locked brake here and through Lukey Heights there. A bit of an ultra tight line through there, actually getting into the grass there. So McMullen really feeling this pressure, which is surprising. A veteran in the V8 Supercar, knows what he's doing, won multiple races, and of course leading the championship at the moment. He should be used to pressure, but right now Umashima is under his skin.
And Umashima actually had a little bit of a compromised run through the final corner as they come onto the Gardner Straight for their to complete the 13th lap of this race. So we've got 7 to go. This race is really flying by.
Certainly is, and battles still happening throughout the track, as we also have a battle at the moment with Zach Baker with actually a lot of damage to that Ford Falcon, and Thomas Hinz is looking very racy, potentially moving to turn number 1, almost squeezed to the grass, not much room there at all, but Thomas Hinz keep his foot flat to the floor. He's going to go up the inside of the damaged 11 car. Let's see if he can pull it off. It's still side by side, both cars four-wheel drifting, but Zach Baker somehow going to hold it and keep that position, as Hinz they're going to be left a little bit out to dry, so potentially going to leave the door open for David Miller.
They'll see if Miller can make a move here, just as well as on the brakes early, and Hinz having a big dive under brakes, almost contact between he and Baker. And Baker's run a little bit wide. He's just going to go back up to the battle. 5th, 6th, 7th contact between Jones and Borg. Borg's run a little bit wide through Lukey Heights. Will Jones be able to capitalise here? Oh, defensive on the inside line, and Stenberg, Sharp, Talyancic and Williams have got into this fight. Have a look at how many cars are in this battle now.
Yeah, this is a huge battle now. This goes all the way back down to Daniel Williams, who is closing on Talyancic at the moment. So this is a huge battle pack, all the way back down to 12th position. So if one of these guys or girls makes a mistake here, they're going to drop so many positions, and they may as well just call this race a loss, because that is a huge amount of positions to lose. If you're at the front of this queue, get involved in an incident like we saw Jones and Borg do around Lukey Heights. So this is big, but look how racy Jones is right onto the back of Borg already.
Yep, Emily Jones looks like got way more pace than both Hammond and Borg.
Oh, and look at Umashima and McMullen. Umashima up the inside, and position done on McMullen.
Wow. Big move from Kazuki Umashima. And just using that late apex line through Siberia, which is very common in the V8. Almost looks like the door's being left open. We're going to get a Cut Price Racing replay of that pass. Very good move.
This race is kicking off left, right, and center. Just over 5 laps to go. And this is championship implications. And also for a lot of these guys, their races are also really beginning to heat up now. This is fantastic stuff.
Yep, so we've got 3 cars battling for the last 2 spots on the podium. We've got 8 cars battling for positions inside the top 5 and top 10. Only 4 drivers on track who aren't involved in a battle, being Warren, McKnight, Loxton, and Craig Jones. Everyone else is involved in a battle.
Look at Brian Borg. He's very close to the back of Hammond. I thought for a second if he could get the power on just a smidge earlier, there might have been opportunity for Hammond. But right now, Brian Borg looks so much quicker than that Commodore just in front of him. So Brian Borg, I would say, expecting the next 2 laps, well, he's only going to get 5 more shots, but I reckon in the next 2 laps, we're going to see a big move from Brian Borg to try and get past that number 8 car.
Yeah, we'll see if Borg can get a move done here, because this is the closest he's been behind his teammate. And I'm sure he'll be getting a little bit impatient. Not necessarily with, oh, have a look at Stenberg around the outside, thought about making a move on Cooper Webster. I don't think Borg's getting upset with the pace of Hammond. I think he's more concerned about Emily Jones behind, taking advantage of the slower pace of Hammond. So Borgie looking like he's trying to get something happening here and moving Hammond along a little bit.
Could we potentially see some Daytona bumping and drafting and shake and bake maneuvers from the laser racing cars? It's very well a possibility around Phillip Island, a very high-speed circuit. But right now, Brian Borg bump drafting in all the wrong places. You want to bump draft down a straight, not a braking zone, Borgie.
Yep, don't bump draft into MG. Downhill braking zone is not the most fun spot to bump draft, but we'll see if Brian Borg and even Emily Jones can get a run this time onto the Gardner Straight. Jones, a little bit of a wiggle, had to get out of the throttle a little bit, compromised her run. Brian Borg not quite able to get the draft advantage. So we've only got 4 laps to go in this one now.
Yeah, exactly. The laps are coming down, so if you're in a battle pack, you have to make your move now. Right now, Umashima has completely run away from McMullen, so for McMullen, 3rd place might be the best he can get, but we'll stick with this battle at the moment that is just continuing to fight off left, right, and center, which is the battle for P number 5. Hammond with a pretty good gap at the moment with Borg just behind. He should be safe into this corner, although you're never safe in a V8 Supercar race. And look at how late these guys are going. Jones almost into the back of Borg.
Yep, Jones had to lock the brakes to make sure she pulled that up and avoid contact. And Borg now, thought about sticking the nose up the inside into Siberia and almost contact between teammates. And wheel spin for Hammond. Compromise run coming into Hayshed. I hate to say it, but I think this is going to get really messy in the next lap.
Oh, and you can see how it could potentially get messy. Is Emily Jones there taking a very tight line and thought about it. Look at Borg, how lady is covering the inside to say, Emily Jones, you're not getting up the inside here. But I don't think Emily Jones is going to be very happy about that. Almost a bump there through the penultimate corner there. That's going to compromise her run onto this straight. We'll see if Borg can hook up the apex, and indeed he does, so he might be safe for another straight, unless there is a lot of straight line speed in that Trans-Tasman racing car.
Big wiggle though from Borg as they are straightened up. 3 to go now, and Jones might be able to get a dive done here. Not quite close enough this time, but Emily Jones, Brian Borg look the 2 most likely to make a move in this pack.
Yeah, Emily Jones right now very feisty, and a move could be coming from her into this very next corner. Look how close she is to the back of Borg. In fact, she's so close, she's actually heard her run out of the second corner. So she's going to have to hope for something amazing through Stoner Curve. If she can close up enough, I don't think she's going to be close enough. So they're all going to stay single file, but she's very late on the brakes there. And there's a bump. There's a bump up the inside is Emily Jones. And doesn't quite hold the overlap, or does she not quite? Brian Borg will continue to take that 6th place away from Emily Jones, but she's not happy about it. And in a matter of corners, I think this could get messy, like you said.
Yep, as we just saw Taliancic and Greg Sharp change of position just in the background. So this pack is an 8-car pack, and we're seeing position shuffle back at the closing parts of this pack. but the front of this pack is getting very, very hot.
It is, and actually at the back of that pack, we also saw Greg Sharp having to go very defensive with Daniel Williams as well. So Greg Sharp not having the best of laps at the moment, getting passed by a few cars as we approach now 2 laps to go. Normally, I would say that's the penultimate lap, but how this race is turning out, I think I have to say it's the NASCAR green-white checker.
It's going off is what it's doing. It's been an awesome race so far. In the final 2 laps, here we go. Borg, big, had a big look into one. I thought he was going to throw it up the inside. I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised he actually did that. That is, of course, his teammate. They're both running under the Laser Racing banner. Of course, different sponsors with Sades Australia on the lead Commodore and, of course, the generic Laser Racing branding on the Falcon. But these guys are teammates, and they're racing each other very hard. They should be in communication with each other, but that doesn't mean they're going to communicate on track as Brian Borg so close into the back of Hammond there. This is incredible stuff between teammates, and they can't afford to play with each other too roughly because Emily Jones now, she was a little bit far back at the start of the lap, but that little look there compromised Hammond into Honda corner, and immediately Emily Jones makes that time back up.
Yep, and the front 3, or the 3 cars in this pack at the front, have broken away a little bit from the rest of this pack. So just seeing Steve Jansen and Thomas Hinz still side by side, still involved in a battle, even though they're way back in the field, the back of the top 20. Here comes Borg, defensive again on Jones.
Oh, and that might have been a little bit bump on the exit of that corner. So Emily Jones there, she's going to have one more lap to do this with a big wiggle.
Got to hold on to it. Got to get a great run here. Make sure close enough into Southern Loop. This is the final lap. Here we go. 4.5 Ks of tarmac left in this one. It's going to be on for sure.
Absolutely. Emily Jones, there's not many overtaking opportunities you can do here at Phillip Island, and she cost herself one as Brian Borg very sideways through the first turn. And now this is going to open the door up dramatically into turn number 3. Emily Jones taking a slightly wider line, can get on the throttle a little bit earlier than Borg potentially can. And she's got the run, I think. This is the closest she has been. If Emily Jones is going to do the move, it has to be now. It has to be here. Borg does cover it though. She's not going to get the job done there. A bit of a bump, almost. Not quite. As look at Kurt Stenberg. He gets a hit from Taliantich. I think that is sideways. Taliantich regresses. But Stenberg very lucky to hold on to that position. As at the moment, you're not missing anything out front. Dane Warren is going to comfortably take victory, I think. But this battle for 5th is far from over.
This is well and truly on. We'll stay with these guys through MG, and then we'll go to Dane Warren at the front of the pack. But wowee, what a battle this has been. Will Jones be able to send it up the inside? Not quite close enough.
Oh!
Or maybe around the outside. Dane Warren comes over in first, but it's still on. Battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Kazuki Umeshima home in 2nd. Marlon McMullen home in 3rd. Bentz gets home in 4th. Great job from him. Laser Racing look like they're going to do enough to get 4th, 5th, and 6th in this one. What a race.
Absolutely fantastic. Emily Jones gave it a roll and was all kinds of on the rear brakes there into that final corner. And I thought for a second she was going to hit Borgie. So very close racing between those guys, but fantastic battling all the way through. Cooper Webster finishes ahead of Kurt Stenberg for P number 9, who narrowly escapes a final lap collision with Taliantich. What a race that was.
That was an unbelievably good race. Congratulations to Dane Warren and Kazuki Umeshima, 1st and 2nd. Marlon McMullen probably won't be as happy with a 3rd as most other people. Probably thought he would have had a higher position on the podium than that, but still 3rd definitely helps this championship fight. Good salvage of points, much better than last week where he unfortunately had a 0 points round. So it will make this championship fight very, very spicy. We'll get some points updated and have a proper championship picture up for next week.
Yeah, and I have a feeling it's going to be very, very close. Road America, you can best believe the fireworks are going to go off.
Yeah, it's going to absolutely go off next week. But we'll run through the race results. Dane Warren ends up winning by 5 seconds over Kazuki Umeshima. Just toned it down on the last lap a little bit. But Umeshima had some great pace once he finally got ahead of Marlon McMullen, who finished in third. Jason Bentz finishes in fourth, with Michael Hammond fifth, Brian Borg sixth, Emily Jones in seventh, Cooper Webster eighth, Kurt Stenberg in ninth, and Michael Taliancic finishes in 10th position.
Daniel Williams is just a second behind the top 10, unfortunately for him, but he does finish 3/10 ahead of Greg Sharp in that great battle we saw going all the way down to the top 12. Jamie McKnight manages to come home P13, and he's going to finish ahead of Brain Bateman, Brendan Jackson, who round out the top 15. Thomas Hinds, we saw him have a few troubles in the race, but also some fantastic battles. He's going to come home in 16th. Steve Jansen survived to the first lap spin and somehow managed to survive the race, and he comes home P number 17, with Brett Loxton in 18th. Cam Dance not making the comeback through the field that he would have wanted, so that's a disappointing day for our very own commentator. Zach Baker, David Miller will round out the cars on the lead lap, with Craig Jones unfortunately falling one lap down to round out 22 cars, which produced an absolutely stellar race.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely amazing race, and it's going to cap off an amazing series. Next week we have the final round. As you said, Road America will be an absolutely amazing race, so make sure you tune in same time, same place next week. But we've got some other amazing broadcasts on this week as well. As Wednesday night we have the final round of the Oceanic Sprint Championship. That one is coming down to the wire. 2 drivers can win it. We'll have all the correct numbers and everything for that between Rizzo and Winkleman as they battle for that championship win. They've got the Blancpain Endurance Series on Saturday night. Sunday we're at the Oceanic Endurance Championship. And then Sunday night, V8 Scops, the final round. We will crown our 2017 champion. I'm looking forward to another big week of broadcasting here on V8s Online.
It's going to be so crazy. There's so much to look forward to. There's championships to be won. There's races to be won. And there are also pro licenses up for grabs on Saturday as well. There is so much happening this week. You do not want to miss it. It's going to be a fantastic week. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of myself and Jay. We hope you're going to be watching with us for it's going to be a fantastic week. But from us tonight, thank you so much for watching the Monday Night V8 Supercar Strength of Field. But from us here at V8 Online, thanks and goodbye.